Greetings, lineage. What's going on? This is your brother Chief Kalanago Flying Eagle, man. How is everybody doing? All right, listen, we're about to get into this build. We're about to get into this build. All right, give me 1 second. Oh, that's just a notification saying that I'm going live. Let me make sure I have audio on Facebook. And how is everybody doing? So we got audio on Facebook. Now check this out. Once again, videos are always for educational purposes. Listen, all I'm here is just to give you the information, give you the knowledge. You do what you want with the information, right? I can't force it down your throats, but however, I could plant the seeds and let you see the illusion that was taught, the misinformation, the miseducation, and how it was so in it was well, not it was easy, but anyway, divide and conquer became, you know, a tool to separate us all over the Americas. So, with that being said, I'm going to tell you a little bit something that you may or may not know about Jamaica, which is, of course, renamed Jamaica, misnomer Jamaica. All right, and I'm very thankful, to my ancestors for just always bringing information, my way. And I had a great conversation, a great build with a brother earlier, and then he had mentioned it. You know what I'm saying? And that was great insight. I got to admit, I didn't know that. Well, put it that way, I wasn't aware of that. Okay, so definitely, the young brother reached out. He said, "Listen, man, Chief, I thank you. I've been watching you for years, and you inspire me and encourage me to do further research." He's an Arawakta, Jamaican, but definitely, gave me my respect, and I appreciate that. And he shared some information with me, and that was one of the things I wasn't aware of when it comes to Jamaica. So, with that being said, I'm going to share that information with y'all, and I'm thankful again to the brother. And it's just like so many of our people are actually, waking up from that coma, that sleep that we were actually put into. Now, mind you, all that stuff, the coma, the sleep, all that stuff was supposed to happen, right? So let us not blame anybody for that, regardless whether they were used as tools to make it happen. The bottom line is it was supposed to happen. They were just the ones that were used as tools to make it happen. I hope that makes sense. All right. So, of course, they themselves, everybody have to deal with their own karma. So let us get into Jamaica. And for a lot of people that didn't know, like I said, Jamaica or Zaimaka, whichever way you want to pronounce it, misnomer Jamaica. Um, a lot of people don't know that Jamaica was actually the first post office, okay, the first British post office in the entire Americas. Okay, the Jamaica was the first post office was established in Jamaica in the entire Americas. So it created the foundation for the postal zones. And it's because of the postal zones we are able to have this federal postal zones in the United States that created territories that made us citizens of the United States. You see, again, so just knowing all these things, I'm teaching you all of this to show you that we are one people. And then literally, it was structured in a way where it started in, because when they spoke of the West Indies, right? Remember the first, even if they called everything, the entire Americas was actually called the West Indies because they didn't know how vast and how huge the Americas were. So they started at a small point, and they just so happened to start in what they currently call the West Indies. And that's where they start setting up their corporations. You had the West Indian Company, you had the Royal African Trade Company, all these different companies that they had. But again, it is quite interesting that Jamaica was the first U.S., well, not U.S., British, okay, um, post that led to all the post office into that happened to emerge in the Americas, and now particularly the United States. So let us go and share that for you. Um, I also put the link in the description so you can go ahead and read it yourself. Like I said, don't believe anything that I say. I'm just giving you the knowledge, and I'll explain to you why I wanted to go over that with you. All right. So as you can see, this is from the Jamaica Post, and it says about us. The Post Office and Telecommunications Department, Jamaica Post, headquartered at 6-10 South Camp Road, Kingston, manages the island's network of nearly 400 post offices and postal agencies. As a department of government, okay, the Ministry of Science, Energy, and Technology has portfolio responsible for Jamaica Post. So we're gonna skip all that and we're gonna go all the way down to the history of the post office, right? Let's read. The Postal Service was started where? In Jamaica on October 31st, 1761. Okay? Now, I'm going to read that again. All right? Check this out. The Postal Service was started in Jamaica on October 31st, 1671, making the island the first British colony to have an established post office. Gabriel Martin was also appointed the first postmaster general in Jamaica that same period. Additionally, the first post office was built in then capital St. Huago or Jago, but it's Spanish, so it's um, Hego, right, de la Vega, now known as Spanish Town, and operated as a sub branch of the British Post Office. Now, let me ask you a question. If um, Hago de la Vega is Spanish, how is it, and it's in Spanish Town, how come it is British? Well, it's because the Spanish, handed over Jamaica to the British. So basically, the British bought, this Jamaica from the Spaniards. Of course, they will tell you, well, it was war and all that. Let me tell you something. Everything was literally about commercial war. It was literally about commercial war. It was companies fighting against each other. It's like you would say today, if McDonald's and Burger King were to go at war, but they would make you think it's the people that's in the company that's fighting. No, it was corporations that were fighting. It just happened to become bloody because the people did not know what was going on. So the people got involved, of course, emotions got involved, and then the people took up the wars of the companies. Hence, you had the West Indian companies, the Dutch companies, the different companies, the British, the Virginia company. All these companies were the ones going to war. But because the people got involved, it became the war of the people, not realizing they were fighting, through companies. And guess who ended up being the winners of them all? The companies, because the people lost their sovereignty. You see what I'm saying? So I'm opening up your mind so you could see how all these things transpired and how our sovereignty was taken away through these postal codes, these postal zones, these postal territories. But it all started in Jamaica. What an irony, right? But we thinking we're different people and we're thinking we're separated. We thinking we're from Africa. And I'm going to also prove that. I'm going to show you some things here this evening because I'm going to dive into Marcus Garvey. I'm also going to prove to you around that time in the 1670s and going all the way up, like I've already done, the nobles of Europe were people of color. They were people of color. All right. So let us read a little more. It says, as the need for a reliable postal service grew in tandem with the booming sugar export driven economy, Edward Desmore was later appointed in 1754 as Postmaster General. He then established a network of post offices throughout the island, many of which remain as the major post office today. In 1776, the main post office was moved from Spanish Town to Harbor Street in Kingston, and in 1860 achieved full managerial and operational autonomy. Pardon me, which meaning that self-running or self-governing, ending its sub-branch status with the British Post Office. In addition, distinctive Jamaican postage stamps were introduced for the first time that year, replacing British stamps, which then in circulation. All right, so I just wanted to kind of share that with you. The history of the Postal Service, it started in Jamaica on the 31st of October, 1671. All right, 1671. All right, let me see something. And since that the US is a corporation and the corporation only operates through what's called postal zones, then technically by default, Jamaica was actually the first United States because in terms of the federal government, because that's how the federal zone is set up, and you could only be a citizen and under the jurisdiction through their federal zones, the post office, the postal zones. So what does that say about Jamaica? Like I tell people, man, people got to study. All right, study to show yourself approved, man. All right. And so when we come to the United States now in 1775, that's when, let me just go ahead and read a little bit for you guys here. Okay. So literally, okay, we were being colonized, from Jamaica even before we were being colonized from the United States. Isn't that crazy, right? Now let us go ahead and let me go ahead and show you some more information. Give me 1 second. Let me close that out. And I'm gonna go here. Let me present this to you guys real quick. And then we're gonna touch on Marcus Garvey, okay? To show you all that stuff was planned. It was all planned, okay? It was all strategized. You feel me? Now check this out. This is from this Smithsonian, right? It says from 1753 to 1754, as he oversaw British colonial mail service, Benjamin Franklin improved a primitive courier system connecting the 13 fragmented colonies into a more efficient organization that speed deliveries between Philadelphia and New York. I'm trying to, so it was during the 1700s that the postal service, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was established, in the United States. But then we go back to, the 1600s, that was in Jamaica, 1761. All right. Now, where am I going to go next? I'm going to go and show you during the reign of King Charles. All right. King Charles, Queen Anne. Let me show you something. King Charles II. Let me see if I could find y'all something for you. Let me see if I could find this. Right now, King Charles II. He was he was born on May 29th, 1630, right, in London, right? And he was the king of Great Britain and Ireland between 1660 and 1685. Now, he was the one who sent the postal master Martin Gabriel, or Gabriel Martin, to Jamaica. Now, let's pick game. Let's pick game, because like I tell people, man, once you start researching and you start diving into the truth, and I've already shown y'all this before, but I'm going to show it to you again for the purpose of this lesson. So when you are talking to people, you have enough information to debunk all the nonsense. Now, let us go into the memoirs of John Mackay. Now, remember, I read this for you guys to show you that the description, the complexion of King Charles, King James, the complexion of Queen Anne, and all of the above. Okay, this is the memoirs of the secret services of John Mackay. John Mackay was a spy for the British Empire. Okay, so let us read here so we could kind of like again validate. Remember that King Charles reigned from 1660 to 1685. Now we are talking about 1671 in Jamaica. So who sent that man to Jamaica to establish what you call the postal service? Guess who it was? King James. Now let us see who King James was. Well, we knew who he was. Let's look at his complexion by looking at the complexion of his son. Okay, in this book, it is giving you precise complexion and the relation to the king. So it says Charles Lennox, Duke of Richmond, is son to King Charles II by the Duchess of Portsmouth. All right. He was carried by the mother into France in the reign of King James. Now, even in Dominica, the first city in Rosa Dominica was Portsmouth. All these people, all this, this what you call taking of the land was through King Charles. A lot of that in the 1600s. King Charles II, a man of color. So let us read. All right, and also France. All right, the reign of King William, when he declared himself for the religion and constitution of his country. He's a gentleman, good natured to a fault, very well bred, and have many, and have, or it's supposed to say half, but that's how they spoke back then. So they have half, many valuable things in him. Is an enemy to business, very credulous and well shaped. Black complexion, much like whom? King Charles, not 30 years old. All right. So once again, King Charles was a man of color, a supposed black man, because he's, they tell you like his father, right? Like his father. So let me ask you a question. Who do you think King Charles would send to Jamaica, a place where they had Arawaks, original people of color? Who do you think they would send to intermingle with those people? Of course, they send another man of color, okay, to establish the first post office, period, in all of the Americas. So that's was when the first zones were created. So technically, Jamaica was the federal zone, hence turned into the United States today. All right, let us read some more. Let us scroll down because we're going to go to another son of. Just in case y'all think, well, this is a joke. Let's scroll. Let's go down a little further to another son of King James. I mean, pardon me, King Charles. Okay, and guess who King Charles was? The brother of King James. King James was just a little lighter than he was. All right, pay attention. Here we go. Charles, Duke of Bolton. Let me see. No, that's not his son. We're gonna go to his son. Let's scroll to the next one, the next one, and another one. George Fitzroy. Here we go. George Fitzroy, Duke of Northumberland. Okay, is the son to King Charles II. Remember King Charles II. Remember when he reigned? He reigned from 1660 to 1685. And all what we're talking about in Jamaica right now, that happened in 1671 when the first postal, company was created. All right. Okay, what do we have here? So he's another son of King Charles. Let us go down to his complexion. All right, all the way down, scroll down. He is a man of honor, nice in paying his debts and living well with his neighbors in the country. Does not care for the conversation of men of equality or business. Is a tall, what, black man like his father, the king, and he was about 40 years old. So here's another son. They're telling you black like his father, the king. All right, let us scroll down some more. Then we have Charles, Duke of St. Albans. That's another son of the king. His son to King Charles II by Miss Gwen was made by King William one of the bedchamber and captain of the band of performers. Let us go down and look at his complexion. What does it say? Okay, he is of a black complexion, not too tall as the Duke of Northumberland, yet very like what? King Charles, his father. All right. Now, just in case you are not convinced yet, let us go to his grandson, because if the grandson was also dark skinned, then those must be strong genes, because the sons were so called black, like the father, King Charles II. All right. Let us go to the grandson. Okay, Charles Fitzroy, Duke of Grafton. He's a grandson to King Charles II and son to heirs of Bennett, Earl of Arlington. Is a very pretty gentleman, okay, have been abroad in the world, zealous to the constitution of his country, a tall black man about 25 years old. My lineage, okay? Man, listen. So when I keep telling y'all, man, we got divided through divide and conquer. That's what all this was about. That's what it was about. And the separation of the land came through the postal zones, creating postal zones. And it started in Jamaica, in 1671, man. Okay, that's real talk. Now, let me go ahead now and give me 1 second. I want to bookmark this. I already have it bookmarked, but I'm going to bookmark this again. All right. Hey, what's up, brother Washington? Yeah, man. I just came back from London. I've been, busy. Like I'm just organizing right now. So, um, we'll definitely link because I'm supposed to be having a meeting. I want to set that up for Sunday coming up, probably like around maybe 2, 3, 4 o'clock for the latest. So I want to invite a few people on here as well. All right. So let us go to Marcus Garvey, because I'm going to show you that Marcus Garvey was planted by the British government. You feel me? To tell our people that they're from Africa. Okay? That's facts. All right? Because in 1670, Spain ceded their authority, all right, to Britain in Jamaica. All right? Before that, it was controlled by the Spanish. All right? And just so you know, maroon have nothing to do with African. And I already gave y'all the etymology of the word maroon, but just for the purpose of this bill, before we go to Marcus Garvey, because I'm going to expose the lie. All right, let us look at the etymology of maroon. I'm going to show it to you again. Like brother Washington, I'm going to invite you to that bill we're going to have on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like I said, we'll talk about that. All right. Just being, like I said, just being a little busy, man, and putting the people together. We have to really stand as being aboriginals. Well, put it that way, original indigenous people. All right. That's who we are, of the Americas. And like I tell people, we're not playing this Maul game and this Israel game, and we ain't playing these games. You feel me? So I get that. All right. This MOOR, we ain't playing that. All right. So anyway, let's go to the etymology of maroons. All right. We, as the original indigenous people of the land, we are creating our own identity, and that identity is my Niji. We're not gonna play the games with nobody. That's what we are going to stand up, and we are going to make that lawful. All right. That's what we're going to be doing. So let us look at the etymology of maroon. Let's scroll all the way down. Etymology of maroon, because when the Maroons, a lot of them from Jamaica think, well, they hear the word maroon. No, well, we came from Africa, and we just fought for our freedom. That's a lie. Because let me show you what maroon really means. The etymology of the word. Check this out. Very dark or crimson color. Now, remember when I showed you I did the video about the Nigerian comedian when he was talking about Jamaicans? What did he say? The red Indian, and that's how they dance. Hence the word red Indian, hemp. So even the Africans know that they called us the red copper colored people. All right. So that's what maroon is. Very dark red or crimson color. All right. It comes from the French word couleur. Couleur means color. Marron, the color of marron, chestnut. That's why when you look at the Indian red, you will see chestnut next to that, because it's the same color. All right, or the same tint. The large sweat chestnut of Southern Europe, maroon in the sense was used in English from 1590s. All right. Now let us go down to maroon as a verb. Let us read. What does it say? Put ashore as a desolate island or coast by way of punishment. So what the Spaniards or the British did was they took the original people, the Arawak, the original so-called black people, and I'm saying so-called because we're not black, the copper-colored indigenous people of Jamaica. They took them and they made them exile in their own land, okay, as a form of punishment, because they were fierce, they were fighting back. Okay, so that's what maroon means. Let us read this again. It says, put ashore on a desolate island or coast by way of punishment. 1724 implied in marooning, earlier to be lost in the wild. That was in 1690s. to be lost in the wild. But how could you be lost in the wild when you are indigenous to that land? No, you're not lost. You are deemed lost because why? You were not considered civilized. Okay, let us read some more. Fugitive, fugitive, black slave living in the wilder parts of Dutch Guyana or where? Jamaica and other West Indian islands. Okay? Earlier, cimarron from French, marron, cimarron, said to be corruption of Spanish cimarron, wild, untamed, unruly, fugitive, as in Cuban, what? Sin negro, cimarron. So all the so-called Negroes of the Americas, some were called Maroons, others were called Garifuna. Even the Garifunas think some of them are Africans. It just show you again the indoctrination of the people. What does it say? A fugitive black slave. It never mentioned anything about Africa. Anybody could be enslaved. Even right now in 2020, 2022, I think we're in 2022 right now. We're in 2023. I don't even pay attention to that. Right now in 2023, guess what? We are still enslaved by the system. Once you got a birth certificate, you're still a slave. You feel me? But anyway, that's neither here or there. The point I'm making is this. Anytime you hear the word slave, people automatically think they're talking about Africa. No, man. Slavery was a business. It had nothing to do with Africa. Okay? This is the old Spanish cimera, thicket, which is probably from cima, summit, top, blah, blah, blah. A notion of living wild in the mountains. Okay? It has nothing to do with Africa. That's what a maroon is. All right? So what they did was they put Marcus Garvey as a plant, just like how Uma Johnson is a plant, calling everybody in the Americas black and telling us we're from Africa. He's another Marcus Garvey. He's a plant. He's an agent. Because black is slave and Africa is synonymous with black, meaning slave. Okay? So Uma Johnson is a slave catcher, just like Marcus Garvey was a slave catcher. Let us go look at, we're not going to dive too deep for me to prove my point about Marcus Garvey. I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay? I'm going to show it to you right now. Give me 1 second here. Boom. We don't have to dive too far deep for me to expose Marcus Garvey. All right? Here we are. Let's read this. Marcus Garvey. Check this out. Marcus Garvey was sent to prison and later deported to Jamaica. All right. So you were from Jamaica. You were deported to Jamaica. And in 1935, you moved permanently to London, where you died in 1940. And his body was returned to Jamaica and declared a national hero. Well, my question is this. If you were sent to prison and they deported you back to Jamaica, why didn't you go to Africa that you were telling everybody that we was from? Why did you retire in London like every other so-called West Indian? They moved to England. Why didn't you go to Africa like you were trying to tell everybody we're from Africa? Like I said, I don't have to go too far to debunk this nonsense. Okay? That is because he was set up by the British government. He was set up by the British government to lie to the original indigenous people of the Americas to tell them that they were Africans. All this Black Power movement, those people were planted to tell us we are Africans. Period, point blank. Marcus Garvey is not my hero. Never was, never will be. Anybody who's trying to take away my birthright, we enemies. America is my motherland. That's my birthright. And I'm fighting for that. And anybody who's against that is an enemy. Period. But because these people were so indoctrinated, you feel me? They were fooled. I'm keep telling you, man. Listen, the truth is stranger than fiction. It is. It's stranger than fiction. And all these, the infiltration, It had to happen by setting up companies. Now, like I was telling the brother earlier, okay, everything was about commerce. They couldn't just come into the land and take over the original people's land just like that. First of all, it couldn't have been done because they would have been breaking what's called some cosmic contracts, some spiritual contracts. These people know what they're doing. They had to get the permission of the people. Why is all that important? It's important because a lot of our ancestors sold out through these companies. What you have to know to be a fact is that none of our ancestors lost a physical war. All right. They were only defeated through these companies and these contracts and these treaties. In other words, they defeat the pen became mightier than the sword. These black devils had to fall back and be like, no, we can't, these wild Indians, we can't destroy them. How can we trick them? Because they didn't just come and set up companies. No, they came as brothers. They came as brothers, and then they brought back their form of commerce. Okay. When we did commerce, our commerce was more so from what you call a barter system. A barter system. Even when they came, one of our first currencies was the wampum. Okay, we use that as currencies. But they were in Europe. They were already using coins and all these different things. It's not that we were backwards. That's not what it meant. We just had a different system of commerce where we were battering with each other. Okay. So when these so-called black nobles and their peoples came into the Americas, we saw people who looked just like us. So we got comfortable. If it was the pale man that came, our guards would have been up. Okay. It would have been up, but they came as brothers. They learned our ways. That's why Christopher Columbus was a man of color. That's why when he came in 1492, he had to leave and come back a year later. But within that time, they had people amongst us learning. They even took a lot of our people into Europe to teach them things, tell them about places, drew different maps and all these different things. So when they came again, they came as brothers and they started talking about commerce. Okay, well, we could take you to Europe and you could do this in Europe, but you got to let us do this in the Americas. Okay, you have a matrilineal system. All right, beautiful. Meaning that the inheritance is passed on through the mother. So some of our men going to marry some of your women. Boom. That's the transfer of the Aboriginal titles. Titles of the land. But it started in what's now called the West Indies. So I hope all this makes sense, man. I'm about to conclude this video. Just wanted to share that bit of information with y'all because, like I said, man, a lot of people in Jamaica, and all over the Caribbean, I mean, even here in the United States, certain parts of South America, all these places, we have this emotional tie to a place that we're not from. That's why they had to also plant everything is done through the music as well. And like me and the brother was discussing earlier, if you listen to all the so-called conscious reggae, oh, well, Mama Africa and all these things and going back to the motherland, all those things were injected. Let me tell you something. You could never get to the top of the music industry without selling out for the most part, signed to these major labels. So when you go back to the history of the music, whether it was with reggae, whatever it is, comprehend this. Those people were bought out. Okay? That's why a lot of Jamaicans are indoctrinated thinking they're Africans. Because those people were planted, not realizing that they are the original Arawaks, even in Haiti as well. They'll fight you for Africa. They will. Okay? They will fight you for Africa, not realizing that it was the Africans and the so-called black Europeans that came together to fight us here in the Americas. People don't get that, man. Man, listen. Y'all think this thing is a game, man. It's not a game, man. This is deep. All right? But when you know the truth, you're able to speak the truth. And that's just what I'm doing, giving y'all the truth. All right? So with that being said, I want to thank y'all for being a part of this build. Please do further research. I'm just here giving you the information. And that's all I'm just doing. But now it's our time. And like I've always taught in videos, all this was supposed to happen. There's nothing we could have done differently. There's nothing our ancestors who fell for the bag, nothing they could have done differently. Even knowing what we know now, and we could have gone back and told them what would have happened, they would have still done it. Why? Because it was supposed to happen. Because the first was supposed to be the last, and the last become the first. And that's why right now our people are waking up from that coma, because we were supposed to go into the coma to forget that we were first. And that's what's happening right now. So yes, the original American Niji will rise again, and we will be the first again. And this time we're going to bring order in the world, because we fell. The whole world fell into chaos because we were the first righteous seeds that dropped here on earth. That's facts over feelings. Don't get confused with the first humans migrated from Africa. Yes, humans, the beast, Human. But the first human, Hueman, we landed right here in what's called the Americas, the first righteous people on the planet. That's why in 1492, they had to bring that demonic energy to rule us, meaning that the lower self had to enslave the higher self, the righteous people. In Dios, the people in God, not in their God, but in the eternal, righteous, okay, God of all, which is literally us in our higher self. We just manifested individually here, okay? That's all it means, man. But it's going to take some time for this to marinate. It's going to take some time for it to resonate with some people, and that's okay. I've always been ahead of my time, and it's cool. But all this will come to light, and the truth will be told, and you'll start hearing it. Well, the first man and woman were what we call, well, of course we will not call Americans, but in that geography of the world, that's where the first righteous man and woman. Even Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter, an essay, and it's in a museum where he said that the original people of the world came from the Americas. That's actually in a museum, I think, not either in a museum or one of those major colleges. Okay? So all the truth is going to come out. One of the first, if not the first oldest crust, okay, is in Canada. Period. In the most oldest stable crust is in Canada. Like I said before, we gave civilization to Africa, and then Africa gave civilization to Europe. That's facts. So tell Umar Johnson, go take a seat, trying to sell our people back into slavery, trying to make them Africans. We ain't Africans. Granted, other ethnic groups came in and mixed in with our people. Yes, I get it. You feel me? And don't let these natives fool you either. They're only Indians because of us. We're not Indians because of them. All right? They're not even Indians. They're native. That's why they had to give up the term American Indian, because it was politically incorrect. Because they were not the people that were here in 1492 when these so-called black devils came from Europe. They were not the people who signed those treaties with Portugal. They were not the people who signed the treaties with Britain in the early 1600s. Okay? These vipers literally came here in the 1800s. And the influx of the pale people came in the 1900s through Ellis Island. So all the boats and ships that you're talking about that came here in the Americas were those people. There's no proof that boats came from Africa. Nah, that's a lie. Being enslaved doesn't mean you came here as a slave. Let me tell you something. There's documents from the 1492 of everyone who came here. And they could never give you any documents to show that we came from Africa. But I promise you, they got all the documents to show you all the people of color who came from Europe. And the people who came from Europe, they got those documents. Show me the documents we came from Africa. I'll wait. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go sometime. Let me see, because my auntie went back to London, so I have a little more time to get back and do what I have to do. So I think either on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I'm gonna go down to Bowling Green. Okay, I'm gonna go down to Bowling Green. I'm gonna show y'all, all right, a little museum that they have. It's not like a museum, but it's like a monumental area that they have. Okay, where they're showing construction in Manhattan from I think the early 1800s to the 1900s. All right, and literally you would think that the history of Manhattan is only pale people because that's what they're showing because them coming from Ellis Island and all that. No, man, these people, they were the ones who came here on ships, on these huge steamboats. Okay, during slavery, they didn't have that. People had canoes and these little sail boats, with little wind flares and all that. Man, listen, man, stop the nonsense, stop the cap. We ain't African, man. And I'm speaking about the majority of us. I could make that bold statement. Man, listen, man. Anyway, I'm about to get out of here, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. I'm gonna go chill. I'm gonna go relax myself, and we'll talk a little later. Like I said, all right, we are organizing. Okay, we are organizing. All right, so on Sunday we're gonna have a meeting. For those of you who want to be a part of it, do me a favor. Send me a Facebook inbox if you would like to be a part of it. If you're not on Facebook and you're on YouTube, then send me an email, chiefkalanago@gmail.com. All right. I have a lot going on right now. So please send me a message. Let me know you would like to be a part of the build. Like I said, I've already reached out to my elders. We're going to come together. We are organizing. All right. It is time. The ancestors gave me the green light and I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. All right. So it's going to be done because it's already done. It's really that simple. I'm just being used as a vessel to make it happen. All right. So for all my brothers and sisters, we have to stop the divide because we have been conquered. All right. We have been conquered. So we have to realize that once you are in the Americas and your people are originally from the Americas, no matter where you are at in the Americas, we are brothers and sisters. And that's what we have to see. One America, one united America. I'm not talking about the intercontinental federal zones. I'm talking about the entire Americas. It's time for us to unite and claim back our birthright. So to all my Niji, all right, much respect. I love y'all, and we'll talk soon. Take care. And like I said, we all over the world, all right? A lot of American Indians are in England, all right? And the truth of the matter is, a lot of them are actually in Africa too. The colony of Liberia, Sierra Leone, certain parts of Angola. You see what I'm saying? Certain parts of Ghana. Because it was our ancestors that left the Americas and go give them civilization. That's why that's why these commercialized DNA companies could make the bold statement and tell you that you from 79% of you from Africa, 79%. But what they will not tell you is that they're taking those there's DNA samples from American Aborigines from the American population. So it's a big game. It's a big game. Okay. It's a big game because our ancestors went into Africa over 7,000, 8,000 years ago to literally give them civilization. The first pyramid that was built in Africa, the pyramid of Khufu, one of the first ones, if not the first, was a gift from our American ancestors in South America. The first clothing of cotton, we gave that to them. Tire, okay, rubber, we gave that to them. The first wheel, transportation, we gave that to them. And the funny thing is, it's an oral tradition in Africa that they got all this civilization from us. But here we are thinking Africa is our motherland. But it's okay. I'm not mad. I know it was supposed to happen that way. But the coma of the spell we were under is lifted. So now the information is there for anybody who wants to step into the truth. Okay? And you will see more and more and more and more and more and more and more for people waking up to that truth. And that's what they're afraid of. So that's why they have to come with all this planned stuff, the pandemics, the shutdown, all these different things, because they know what's getting ready to happen. They know, but they can't stop it. That's the beauty about it. They can't. They're just buying time. And you'll see all these fires all over the world. Trust me, there's fires all over the world. Some of it is natural, some of it is man-made. They'll tell you, oh, it's global warming. Nah, man, there's no such thing as global warming. We are in the solar cycle because we left the lunar cycle where all the lunatics was ruling the world, that male energy, because the moon is male. El Mano, menace. That's why women have the menstrual, because the men affect them, the emotions that way. The moon, that's the man. Okay? But the sun is feminine. And that's why the feminine energy had to come in. So they confuse the men, not knowing what that feminine energy meant. So they think it's sword fighting. And now you have literally a bunch of dudes out here acting like women. And they want men because they don't know, that they're confused about the energies, because they don't know what's going on. Now me, I know what it means. So yes, I have to tap into the feminine, into that feminine energy, from the perspective of knowing that we have to bring back our sisters back on that pedestal. That's what it actually means. I'm not one of the confused ones. So a lot of them in Atlanta are confused right now because they don't know what that feminine energy meant. Because we are in the solar cycle now, and the sun is feminine. The sun is the most high. All right. Anyway, let me get out of here. We'll talk soon. Take care. One love.